Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وبه نستعين. Today I will discuss on BGP authentication, that how can we configure BGP authentication in practical environment. And at the first I want to discuss uh, about BGP authentication and BGP authentication rules in our BGP domain. So what's BGP authentication? As you see in the slide, that the BGP authentication enables the routers to share information only if they can verify that they are talking to trusted source based on password or key. Means the routers establish peership based on keys or based on passwords that they exchange between each other. BGP authentication is one of the very important topic for securing the BGP domain. In this case, only those BGP neighbors can create a neighborship that their passwords and key are matching, and the other routers, when the keys or the passwords are not matched, at that time they cannot create a BGP neighborship with each other. So BGP supports authentication mechanism using MD5 or message digest 5 algorithm. So BGP just support this algorithm for the authentication. When authentication is enabled, and it is segment belonging to BGP exchange between the peers. When we enable authentication in BGP domain, the TCP segments exchange between the peers. Then after verification and accepted, after that the BGP neighborship will be established. This is a very important point, that for authentication to be successful, if you want to two BGP neighbors or more than two BGP neighbors, that their authentication became successful, at that time they should use the same password on both sides. If the password are not matched, at that time the BGP neighborship will not establish. If authentication fails, the BGP neighbor relationship will not be established, as I said before. So I'm coming to the next slide. In this picture, we can see that two neighbors are connected directly with the physical interfaces, and these two routers or peers are belonging to different AS, and we create eBGP neighborship between these two routers, and also the IPs are also specified and assigned. So what's the command of BGP for authentication? It's very simple. You should log into the router and type router BGP and then add the AS path. After that, specify your neighbor IP, then your neighbor AS path. After that, you can add your password. In both sides, you can configure the same commands. So I'm coming to the real lab. So in this case, I am coming here in this topology. I created this topology for you, and I want to configure BGP authentication in both domains, in iBGP and eBGP. At the first time, I going to configure BGP authentication in iBGP domain. As you can see, that these three routers are connected with each other, and the subnets used between router 1 and router 2 is 12, and the the subnets between router 2 and router 3 is 23. And also I specified the loopback or my local and network or subnets, that's 10 for router 1, 20 for router 2 and 30 for router 3. And I'm using a SPAT 500 in this domain, and also I configure OSPF as iGP for connectivity between the loopback interfaces between these peers. For this case, we can configure iGP for reaching the uh, loopback interfaces between these peers. That's very important. You can use other dynamic routing protocols like REP or eIGRP, or you can also configure static routes as well. So the task is clear as well, that in this case we should implement these two tasks. The first task is make sure that the authentication is established between all peers, and they should use the password. This is called 123. This password is also specifies for you that if you want to create authentication between these peers. And also the peer or the peering should establish only for both routers that they ran BGP before or BGP version 4. Okay. In Node, in iBGP domain, we use loopback interfaces as a peer address, and in eBGP, we use the physical interface address as a peer address. So I'm coming to this topology, and I want to configure the authentication in iBGP domain. So I'm coming to command line interface. I have 3 routers here, and at the first time I want to assign IP address for these routers. So as you see in this topology, I want to assign 12 subnets between router 1 and router 2. I'm coming to router 1, and also I want to specify the ports label as well for you. Serial 1/0, serial 1/0 is directly connected with router 2. Okay, and also serial 1/1 is directly connected with router 3. So I'm coming here and I want to assign IP for these ports. So I'm coming here, and I want to assign IP for loopback interface. Done in router 1. Then I'm coming to router 2. For this side, loopback interface, and also I want to assign IP for serial 1/1, and I want to use 23 subnets. Okay, so I'm coming here. Okay, done in router 2, and I'm coming to router 3. This interface is directly connected with router 2, and I want to assign the IP. One is toward router 1, router 2. Sorry. Okay. Right now I want to check my IP configuration. other side. Okay, coming here and do show IP directory. That's great. Okay, that's great. Right now, I have assigned the IP address to the mentioned interfaces. Okay, that's great. So the next step is I want to configure IGP for creating routes between these routers. Okay, in this case, as you see the routing table, in routing table, the updates information from router 2 and router 3 or the subnets or of router 2 and router 3 is not exist. So I cannot ping loopback interface of router 2 and also I cannot ping loopback interface of router 3. So in this case, if you want to create BGP neighborship between these loopback interfaces, the first condition is this, that you should reach those interfaces. So for this reason, we should configure IGP or Interior Gateway Protocol. In this video, I wanna configure OSPF as I said before. So I'm coming here and I wanna configure OSPF. So hold core mask. Okay, that's good. I'm coming in router 2. I'm coming to router 3. Okay. The IGP or OSPF routing protocol is configured successfully. So I'm coming here and check my OSPF neighbor. Okay. I have one neighbor, that's router 2. And coming to router 2. Oh, I have just one neighbor. In this case, my neighborship with router 3 is not established. So I should check what's the reason. Okay, the reason is this, that I did not advertise this subnets in router 2. So I'm coming here and advertise this interface as well. Okay. Now the OSPF neighborship will come up. So I'm checking it again. Okay, I have two neighbors right now in with router 3 and router 1. So right now I should check the routing table. In this case, I have the subnets from router 3 and router 2, and I have reachability with these subnets. Okay, you can test ping 2111. Okay, subnet of router or the loopback IP of router 3, I can ping, and these IPs are reachable right now in router 1 and also in router 2 and router 3 as well. So the reachability is done in router 1. Right now I'm going to configure iBGP between these peers. So I'm coming to router 1 and type router BGP is path 500 as you see in the topology. I should configure AS path 500 and also I wanna create BGP peership by loopback interfaces. Okay, here I am coming and type neighbor 2111 is the loopback IP of router 2. Remote is 500. This is iBGP. Okay, and also don't forget the update source loopback command as well. That's very important. Okay, so in this case, the BGP peer is well established with router 2 if I uh, add these commands in router 2 and router 3 as well. So I'm coming to router 2 as well. So coming and router BGP 500 neighbor. This IP is the IP of loopback interface of router 1. Router 3 loopback interface of router 3. Neighbor T111 update source loopback 0. I'm coming to router 3 as well. Which router 1? Add loopback interface IP of router 1. Add the loopback and update source command as well. Neighbor update source loopback 0. That's great. I'm coming to router 1 as well and I wanna create a peership with router 3. So in this case I should add router 3 loopback interface IP here as well. Now the IGP or iBGP neighborship between these three routers became up. So I will change show iBGP summary. Okay, I have two peer here, but the okay, that's good. And peer with router 3 is also I want to test again. Okay, that's great idea. If you want to check in router 2 as well, BGP summary. Okay, I have also two neighbors, router 1 and 3. If you want to check here, okay guys, this is the simple iBGP peership between these three routers, and right now I did not implement authentication between these peers. Okay, for this we can use authentication command as well. If you want to configure authentication command in BGP between these peers, you should come to global configuration mode and enter router BGP 500. In this case, if you want to configure authentication between these three neighbors, then type neighbor and add your destination IP here. or your peer IP here. Okay, so I'm adding here 2111 IP because this IP is belonging to router 2. Okay, then type password. Okay, maybe which password I should assign, as I mentioned before, and topology I should assign Cisco at 1, 2, 3. Okay, password Cisco at 1, 2, 3. In this case, the I wanna configure authentication between router 2 and router 3 as well. So type neighbor 111 password Cisco at 1, 2, 3. Coming to privilege exec mode. In this case, I should refresh my route. Or you can refresh it hardly or softly. Okay. Now I should check again. Okay, right now the BGP peer between router from router 1 with router 2 and 3 is became active and peership is not up because of what? Because of password that I assign as an authentication password. As you see the message, no, MD5 message digest from router 2 and router 3. So in this case, the message says that no MD5 digest message is coming from router 2 and router 3. In this case, the BGP peer will not establish because the key is not matching between these peers. So for this reason, I should uh, assign password in router 2 and router 3 as well. So I'm coming to router 2, router BGP 500, neighbor 1011, password Cisco. The password should same. If the password is not same, at that time the peership also not established. So the password must match between peers. Right now we can see that the peership between router 2 and router 1 will be up. Okay, you can come in here and show IP clear, iBGP soft clear. So show iBGP summary. It takes some time. Okay, I'm coming here as well. Okay, router BGP 500 neighbor. I wanna add password for right now the BGP peer between router 2 and router 1 became up. Why? Because the key between router 2 and router 1 matched. Okay? Yes. In this case, I should configure the BGP authentication in router 3 as well, because in this message shows no MD5 digest from this router. So I'm coming to router 3 as well. As you see the message, the BGP neighbor with router 1 down per close the session because of that, because of this, that the BGP authentication is not configured in router 3 and the key is not matched. As you see the BGP neighbor table. So just I have one neighbor with router 2. Okay, so I'm coming here and assigning the what and password. So in this case, neighbor 10 111 password Cisco 1. After some sequence, the BGP peer will up with router 3 as well. So I'm also coming to router 2 and I wanna configure BGP authentication between router 2 and router 3 as well. And also coming to router 3, I wanna configure the BGP authentication between router 3 and router 2. Okay, right now before that, I wanna show you that the BGP peer between router 1 and router 3 is also became up because the BGP peer and the BGP key authentication key matched between router 1 and router 2, router 1 and router 3 as will show IP BGP summary. In this case, the BGP peer the BGP peer is up right now between uh, router 2, router 3, with router 2 and router 3 as well. So I'm coming here with router. So if you see the BGP table in router 2, right now just the BGP peer between router 2 and router 1 is up, but router 2 and router 3 is not up because I don't configure BGP authentication in router 3 toward router 2. As you see the neighbor table, okay, both of them is up. I configured, yes, here. Yes, I configured here. Yes, with router 2 as well. Neighbor. I am checking here as well. Don't show BGP summary. Okay, that's good. Okay, I configured before between router 2 and router 3 as well. I'm coming here. Just I configure with router 10. Okay, just I configure with router 1. I want to configure BGP authentication with router 2 as well. Neighbor password Cisco account. Okay. You can specify the BGP version as well. How can you can specify the BGP version as well? Router BGP 500 neighbor 20111. As I mentioned before in the task, the BGP peer should establish between those peers that they use BGP version 4, as you can see in this task. The first task is done, and the second task, the peering should establish only if both the routers run BGP version 4. So how can we specify these peers that they run BGP version 4 or v4? So in this case, type neighbor 20111 and type version 4. Okay. Neighbor 20111 version 4. You can specify the version as well. So I'm coming here as well. Router BGP 500 neighbor 1011 version 4. Neighbor 3111 version 4. Also coming here and type neighbor 1011 version 4. Neighbor 2111 version 4. task is done on these routers. Show iBGP summary. Now authentication is enabled between these pairs, and also the version of BGP is also specified. If you have any question, you can add in comment. So this is our first task, that how can we implement the authentication in iBGP. Also, you can advertise these subnets in BGP as well. How can we advertise? Router BGP 500, network 10.1.1.10, mask 55.55.0. Come to router 2, network 21.1.1, mask 55.55.0. Sorry, I should add subnet here, not a specified IP address. Network 31.1.1.10, mask. Okay. Now the peers are also advertise their loopback interfaces in BGP as well. Show IP. You can see the BGP table as well. Here you can see this. But if you see the routing table here, in routing table also the networks that are advertised through BGP is coming in my routing table. In OSPF table also this is. Okay, this is the BGP authentication that I configure for you in iBGP domain. Right now I'm coming here and this task. How can I configure authentication between these two pairs that are located in different AS? In this case, you should configure eBGP between these two pairs and also specify your peer address here. Your peer address is not loopback interface here. Your peer address is your physical interface address that you assign for your peer interfaces in these two ports. So as you see in this topology, I have two AS or autonomous system, AS 100 and AS 200, and also I want to assign 100 IP for loopback interface of router 5, and also I want to assign 100.1.2 subnet for router 4. And between these two pair, I want to use this subnet 45 subnet. Okay, so in this case I'm coming here and I wanna assign the IPs to the specific interfaces. Then I wanna run eBGP between these two pairs, and also I wanna configure authentication in eBGP as well. So I'm coming here and adding them in console. Okay, I'm coming, sorry, I wanna close this and just open this two. Routers in console. Okay, router 4 and router 5. At the first time, I wanna assign IP address for these interfaces. Which interfaces? These interfaces. Real 1/0 and 1/0 from both sides. So I'm coming to router 4 and assign 45 subnets. Okay. Interface 0, IP 45.1. Assign to back IP as well. And coming to router 2. I assigned IPs for the mentioned interfaces. Just I want to ping the my peer address here 45.1.1. Okay, the ping result is succeeded. So, but I cannot ping the loopback IP here because I don't have routes to that IP. So, ping 100.1.2.1. Sorry, this loopback interface is belonging to this router. As you can see, the interface. Okay. Just I want to ping this loopback IP from router 4, router 5, 100.1.1.1. I cannot ping because I don't have routes right now. So I want to configure eBGP between these two peers and also advertise these loopback interfaces through BGP. Then I can ping and I have reachability to these loopback interfaces. So I'm coming to router 4 and going to global configuration mode of that. BGP, what's the BGP is path 200, okay. This is eBGP configuration. That's very simple. Neighbor and neighbor, you should add the physical interface IP. What's the IP of this? 45.1.1.1, I think, yes. 45.1.1.1 remote AS was the remote. Oh, sorry. I'm in router 4. I should specify this interface IP. This 45.1.1.2 and also the path is 100. Okay, so 2 and remote is, I should add the remote is 100. As you can see, the remote is 100. Okay, that's okay. I am coming to router 5 as well. Router BGP, router BGP 100. Okay, neighbor 45.1.1.1, remote is 200. In eBGP configuration, we don't need to add update source command here. Okay, so the BGP peer will be established between these two peers. Okay, as you can see, the BGP peer are between these two peers. I'm coming here and checking BGP and network table. Okay, I have one peer, 45 and 12. This IP is belonging to router 5 and the BGP is version 4 is path is 100, message since and received, table version, and how much prefixes received 0 because and the status is up because we uh, didn't advertise the subnets through BGP. So I'm coming here and I want to advertise the loopback interface IPs as well here. Okay. Right now, I cannot ping the loopback IP of my peer because I don't have route right now. So I'm coming here and advertise this IP through BGP. 200. Okay. Network 100.1.1.2.0. And the first time you should know about your directly connected interfaces. Okay, how can you check? You can check by this command, do show IP route connected. Okay, these are my directly connected IPs or interface that I assign these IPs for them. So network, which subnet I should add? I should add this subnet IP here. Network 100.1.1.0 2.0, sorry. Um, mask. You can see in this table as well. You should add this. Now I can reach that subnet because I have route right now. Okay, you can see, and also you can see the BGP table as well. This subnet is coming from this hop. Okay, and this is my locally originated subnet. That is also, you can see the BGP table as well. And also you can see the routing table as well. This is your routing table. Okay, in both. This is your routing. What is this number? This number shows the BGP administrative distance value. The eBGP administrative distance is 20, but the iBGP administrative distance value is 200. Remember, this is the administrative distance of eBGP. And what's the iBGP administrative? eBGP admin distance is 20 and iBGP admin distance is 200. Okay? You should remember this. And what's this number is the number of hop between them. So the BGP peer is successfully established between these two peers with these different subnets 100 and 200. Right now, and also I advertise the loopback interfaces through BGP. Right now, I don't have authentication between them and I don't configure authentication between them. So I want to configure authentication between them as well. So how can we configure authentication between eBGP peers? That's very important. So I'm coming to router 4. Very simple. Router BGP 200. Type neighbor 45.1.1.2. I think. Yes. Password Cisco. The password must be same on both sides. Okay. Also, I'm coming here as well. If you clear the BGP table, in this case, the BGP peer between these two peers will be down. Because of this, that this message shows, as I mentioned before, in iBGP as well, no MD5 digest is coming from 45.1.1.2 or from my neighbor. As you see the show IP BGP summary, the BGP peer is in active state. So, and if you come to router 5, the router 5 message shows that neighbor 45.1.1.1 down. Because of what? Because of this, that I configure the authentication one side, just on router 4. I should configure this authentication in router 5 as well. And also the key must match. That's very important. So I'm coming to router 5 and adding router BGP 100. Sorry, router BGP 100 neighbor 45.1.1.1 password. The password must match. If the password is not matched, at that time the BGP peer will not up. Okay, so what was the password in router 4? Cisco at 123. Okay, Cisco at 123. I want to check. Show running campaign section BGP Cisco at 123. Okay, so I'm coming here and add this password as well here. After some, oh, now the BGP neighbor between these two pairs became why? Because I add the authentication and router 5 as well, and the key also match. So just here the message shows that the BGP pair between router 5 and router 4 uh, as you see in the summary. Okay, uh, one prefix received from router 5. So iBGP receive which prefix is received? This prefix is received. This one. Okay. Okay, this is the configuration of authentication in eBGP and iBGP domain that I configured for you. Thank you for your watching. If you have any comments and any question, you can add. And I hope all you have a great day. Allah Hafiz.